What's up, YouTube? Haven here. So, today I have woken up and I have chosen to concede defeat. Now, recently I made somewhat an intentionally controversial video about Sim, where if you bothered to make it to the end, which a lot of you didn't, by the way, I basically said Gaijin should revamp Sim. It is not fun and delivers a crap product to Sim players and lacks the primary thing that makes War Thunder accessible to a large audience: mouse control. That Gaijin should invest in Sim or exit the Sim market because their Sim product was worse than other Sims in the market, and that it wasn't Gaijin's primary market anyways, and that they were doing a disservice to players by keeping it limping along as is. Now, I just saved you like 12 minutes there. I kind of ranted a little bit areas. I tried to make my point, but that was the general gist of it, that Gaijin should improve Sim or kill it. And kill it is what got a lot of you triggered. I think the like versus, I'm getting ratioed right now. I got like 30% likes on that video. And it's one of the videos that I thought I would shoot off and it would go fine for a week or two, but you guys keep finding the video, and so I have to now respond because you guys keep finding it, you keep commenting on it. I responded to like the first 100 comments on it, and then I've kind of dropped it off because you guys keep finding it, you keep commenting on it. I've pinned a response at the top, but instead now we're going to do what all YouTubers do, and we're actually going to do a response video. So here we are. This is what we're doing. Also, as part of that video, I threw out a half-baked idea about blending some modes, or at least bringing back air realistic battles enduring confrontation, which I think is still a good idea. So, but now I'm going to make a video to say that I was wrong-ish. And here's what I'm getting with that. So, I think the main thing that I wanted to say in this follow-up video is that I think Gaijin should still revamp Sim, but through your comments, which you guys put in there, and there were a lot, I have to concede some major points that I had not previously considered. So let it be said that some YouTuber is going to go out there and they're going to say, I was wrong. Okay, so the first one I wanted to say I was wrong about is this comment that I've actually got pinned at the top of that video. So if you've already seen this comment, you'll know which one I'm talking about. So this is a response. It says, your entire premise hinges on the assumption that a simulation isn't Gaijin's goal, but actual development has, for the most part, consistently reinforced the simulation aspect of the game. More advanced and accurate damage models and armor interaction. A very good radar simulation, which I'm not a judge there, but it's said. An IR Seeker implementation that is basically unrivaled even by DCS, and a plethora of actually modeled aircraft, some of which have really, really good flight models when compared to temporary flight sims, which, again, I'm not going to push back on the accuracy of any of those claims. I'll just take them at face values, that there's a good radar simulation, good IR Seeker implementation, and very well modeled aircraft. Even compared to other sims. I'm just going to take those at face value. If Gaijin didn't care about simulation, then they wouldn't continue to develop the simulation aspects of the game, yet they still continue to develop the game with a strong simulation because that's what they actually care about. Okay. And that's really the one that I thought that first paragraph is what I really wanted to focus on, because I think the main thing I got from this comment, which is a pretty solid comment overall, by the way. I'm not sure about the spending habits of sim players. I think they spend a lot on their setups. I'm not sure how much they spend on the actual mode. And yeah, I mean, like, killing it or removing it is not really what I was going for. But anyways, the overall, I thought the comment was pretty solid. Gaijin's, and this is the part that really struck with me, Gaijin's goal is simulation. And that was like a big kind of light bulb moment. And that by pursuing this goal of simulation, the other modes will benefit from that fidelity of the flight model, even if they take that flight model and they tone it down for, what they call realistic or the arcade modes. So a realistic flight model, sort of vetted in the sim mode, flows through to every other mode in the game. So a high fidelity model, benefits everybody. So even if the sim mode is a failure from a popularity or financial standpoint, which he, again, I'm not going to get into the finance side of it, the wider game will benefit from it because the sim models are not failures. And that's a pretty good point. The next comment that I got won't be one particular comment, but rather a bunch of different comments that I got that pretty much all said the same thing. And they all address my comment in the video, which was something like, if you want to play a simulation, then you're better off playing DCS or IL2 because it's a better simulator. Well, a lot of people called me out on this one, and I think they make a pretty good point, because while War Thunder is not as good of a simulator, there is a need in the market for something that is not DCS in terms of like taking off. So War Thunder is more accessible than other sims. Even a dummy like me can get in the air within about 20 minutes of tutorials and tweaking my controls setups, right? 5 minutes if you don't mind some crashes and a drain to your Silver Lions balance. So sort of the sim light is actually a niche that is people appreciate, to be able to fly out so quickly. That is a not DCS level of fidelity in a simulation mode is something people appreciate. And this leads me into the second point, which is War Thunder simply has more flight models. Sheer volume is a definite factor here. There are hundreds, maybe thousands, I'm not sure, but there are at least hundreds of vehicles available for you for free if you're willing to grind, in War Thunder. Yes, of course, many of these vehicles are very similar, but overall, there are still dozens of playstyles available to you through these vehicles, from early World War II and some pre-war, biplanes, through to near modern vehicles. And the catalog is extensive. The catalog is extensive and available to you for free. So even if you consider War Thunder's sim mode to be lacking detail or fidelity, flying out your favorite vehicle that isn't maybe modeled up in any other game might make you more forgiving of War Thunder's sim as it exists today. And the third point that was sort of made, and it kind of pertains to the other two, is War Thunder is way cheaper to play, and technically free to play. This was touched on just a second ago, but in terms of cost, War Thunder is technically a free-to-play game. I wouldn't recommend playing it as a free-to-play game without at least some occasional investment in the game. But let's say you're willing to drop $60 on a simulator or any game that you buy, quote buy. Your $60 will take you much further in premium time than one singular vehicle purchase in other sim games. So let's assume even that you can get 4 or 5 or 6 vehicles with your $60 investment in some other sim game. You are still getting less content for your money with even a $60 investment in War Thunder. If you really want to be a masochist and you want to just grind for free, you can do that. But again, in terms of what you get for the money you buy or you put into the game, whatever sim game you choose, War Thunder is a good investment. Like, yes, it is technically free. You're probably going to want to spend some money, but you're going to get a lot for that money. So now that I've sounded like a Gaijin commercial, I still think that there are problems with the mode. I still think that Gaijin has some work to do to make Sim a viable, marketable product. But having heard from so many of you in the comments, that I think they're closer than I had given them credit for. And maybe that's the most frustrating part of it all. They are close. They are close. War Thunder has often been described as almost fun, and I think that applies here. They seem to be somewhat uninterested in game mode improvements, erring on the side of do no harm, which comes across as don't listen to feedback and let the grind continue. So at this point, I actually had someone reach out to me in the comments, and they said, "Hey, you're wrong. You're dumb." He actually apologized for that, but he said, "If you want to get, ask somebody about that, I'll answer some questions." And I was like, "Okay, one, this will be good content, right? You guys will enjoy it." So I said, "Here, yeah, let's set it up. I'll send you some questions. We'll do an interview style." So kind of wrap this all up. And I hopefully you're still here. It's probably rambling on, probably way longer than it should be. I've come around on Sim as a viable game mode. I think it provides a niche in the market that the market demands, being free to play with so many vehicles that you don't have to pay for, and the lack of fidelity in some of the Sim aspects is actually a benefit, as opposed to the truly like the spin up on some of the other simulators for sure is keeping some people away from those. That said, I think I want to come back to the idea of my original video, which was Gaijin should kill Sim. I disagree with that, but I still think Gaijin could do better on their Sim mode, and I think people that play Sim would agree with that ultimately. I just feel more informed about what it is that Gaijin is doing right and why there are players in Gaijin's Sim community. And I understand now more greatly why they feel that Gaijin's doing okay. But from an outsider looking in, I do think that Gaijin kind of sucks at selling the mode. It's fairly unintuitive. It's not noob friendly. But I think that's kind of true of all of Gaijin's game modes, besides like arcade. And I think Gaijin is recognizing this. They're putting a lot of those missile test module, like when you unlock a module you get the option to test. I think Gaijin has recognized that unless you're grown up with War Thunder, which it's a 10, 11, 12-year-old game now, unless you've grown up with War Thunder and been there when they introduced the features, there's not a great tutorial out there for a lot of this, and you just sort of have to figure it out. And that's not ever stopped me from playing any part of War Thunder. But Sim is even more daunting, and again, Gaijin I don't think sells the mode very well and does not address some of the shortcomings of the mode very well. But yeah, I'm not at this point. I get it, guys. You've made your point. I think Sim does benefit the War Thunder community as a whole, benefits the game as a whole, and I get why some of you play Sim. I personally am still not gonna play Sim. I don't see the appeal as of yet. Maybe we'll get there, but right now I get it, and I do not want for Gaijin to kill Sim. I just want them to continue to improve it. So that's it for now. Thanks for listening, and thanks for making it to the end of here. If you're still here, like, subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one, YouTube.